Good morning. I'm Julio Sáenz along with Mauricio Riveros. Today we'll meet Matt Flanigan, CEO of Flower City Habitat for Humanity, and learn about the important work they're doing in the community.
We hope you will be inspired.
Celebrating leaders in Rochester's unique and vibrant business community, we'll meet entrepreneurs whose passion and perseverance have helped push through life's challenges. Join us as we share their stories and journeys to success. It's time to be inspired.
Hi, Matt. Thank you very much to be inspired. A show that we developed to inspire our community, to invite people like you who have cool jobs and opportunities and tell us of what's going on in your organization. So let's start with you, Matt. Who is Matt?
Well, thank you very much. My name's Matt Flanigan. I'm the CEO at Flower City Habitat, and I am a guy who is just blessed to have a wonderful career in nonprofit. And I've had a lifetime of service, and I'm just honored to be able to be in that space.
Well, that's awesome, Matt. And I love to have interview in our show. We interview business owners, but also we interview people in the not-for-profit world. So how did you get in not-for-profit? Tell us a little bit your background and your history.
Fantastic. So it really started right out of high school when I landed a job as a summer camp counselor down at Camp Stella Maris on Canisius Lake. And little did I know, coming right out of high school, that I just found my calling. And I worked there for a good long while, and eventually good things happened, and I ended up in the administrative side, worked as assistant director, as camp director, and then finally one day I was given that title of executive director. And I held that for a good long while, 8 years, as exec at Stella Maris. We had tremendous growth, really stabilized the place. I'd taken over from a good leader before, and that always helps. So I had a great run there. And then I was able to transition over to the American Cancer Society, where I did primarily fundraising, but we did some mountain climbing, did some running. We did a lot of outdoor stuff, kind of took that camp world into the cancer world with me. Had a great run there. Built a whole lodge for people to stay who have cancer coming to Rochester. So a lot of service. I got to serve a lot of people. And then one day I got a call about this job at Habitat and thought, wow, what a blessing to really be able to help individual families and really help move people along who really want that hand up in the Rochester community. I grew up in Rochester. I'm from Rochester. So to get to serve the Rochester community in this way, I was like, sign me up. That's the job that's waiting for me. Let's go. And it's been 7 years now, and I'm having a blast.
Fantastic.
I tell people I get to do this job.
No, it's a wonderful organization, and I think most people just have this great opinion of Habitat for Humanity. But we see people building houses and Jimmy Carter and all the imagery and things. But can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you guys do, just to bring that together with what most people envision?
Absolutely. And I always start by dispelling one myth in particular, and I hear it so often, and that is that we give houses away. We don't give houses away. We work with partner families. They're not our clients. They're not social work caseloads. These are partner families who come to us and learn what the requirements are to earn that right to buy that house. So they work with us in what we call sweat equity. And in that process, we teach homeowner skills. We teach financial literacy. We teach how to maintain your insurances and do maintenance. All the things that come, those trappings that come with owning a home. I mean, really owning it, not just saying it's mine, but knowing it. So then they help build that house, and they take these classes. And then the best day of the year are the days where we do something called a dedication. And we're a Christian ministry, non-conversional. I'm Christian. I'm very devout in that, but I serve people of all faiths or no faith. That's easy. But we do a prayerful dedication where we take that home. We just did one Friday, so I'm kind of fresh on that. And we take this building site, this construction site that's still a little bit in construction when we do them, and prayerfully start to convert that space to a home. We skip the word house and we go from construction to home. And those are the best days of the year when we get to see that family that's going to move in. So it's great. It's a great spot to be.
What a wonderful concept. I really love the approach of true ownership, to really create the capacity in the people who are receiving the support to really own and understand what ownership means. And that is wonderful. So what type of segments of the population, what's the strategy to identify who is the right partner to partner with you guys?
That partner family, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. The partner family kind of meets in three categories for us. One, they have to need the home. And that's easy to discern, but we're not going to go work with a family that now it's their second home or it's a rental property. It's got to be their primary home, and they have to actually have that need. And that's easy to meet because the rent burden in Rochester is so high. We have a lot of people in Rochester who are spending so much on a high percentage of their monthly income on rent that leaves little left over for education, food, medicine, etc. So determining that need is unfortunately all too easy. Then they also need to be able to afford the house because, as I've said, we sell that house with a 30-year zero profit mortgage. And we are the mortgage servicer. We hold that mortgage for those years. So they have to need the house, they need to be able to afford the house, and then, as I mentioned before, they need to partner with us. Probably the most important word in my world is partner. We partner together because that process that we're about to take together to go through the equity piece and to get into that house, that's hard. So not everybody is cut out for that. So it's a hard job, but we work with folks and a lot of support, and we get people to that finish line.
That is wonderful because what is creating is a connection with people who have passion to help, and building those partnerships are fundamental. Now, let's talk about practical impact. You have been working now as a CEO of this great organization for 7 years. So let's talk a little bit about numbers. How many houses that you guys have built so far, in what areas of the town? And you can give us a little bit information about that.
Yeah, we have on our docket, probably in the next cycle, we'll build our 250th house here in Rochester. So that's an amazing amount of homes that have been created over the 30 plus years that we've been around. I've been there 7, but it's a big collective we. I get to represent that space today, but there have been volunteers coming for decades building wonderful homes. So we've got number 250 on the horizon, and then a subset number there. We really focus on a neighborhood at a time. We find in our particular model, a house is wonderful, but a community is that much richer. So if we can build some homes that are proximal to each other, and then when they're working, those partner families are working with us, they help build each other's houses. So we all might be neighbors, and we've worked on each other's houses. So after Habitat is gone, we're still partnering on watching each other's kiddos and all of that good stuff. So in Josana, where we've been really focused, we will this year build our 100th house in one neighborhood. And that's really helped turn that neighborhood around. So it's a double impact.
Amazing work. Let me ask you this. So how has COVID impacted you? And then how have you been able to ramp back up as the cases have declined?
Yeah, that's been a tough, right? A lot of nonprofits have really, and ours is one, really took it on the chin with COVID. Some of our funding comes from government agencies, so we are anticipating in the next cycle of grants and whatnot that there'll be less dollars on the table, and that some have been diverted more towards education and food, and I certainly understand that. And so housing might take a back seat for a little while, but not for long. It's not lost on me. When COVID hit, where did we all go? We all went home. So the importance of home has been really brought to the fore. But for now, we're seeing anticipating some lower income from some of the grant side of things. We also recognize that there's economic impact on some of our donors. So we kind of constricted a little bit and said, okay, we'll constrict to meet the needs today. In the parallel, we've launched a new program though. So it's not just about the creation of new homes. So we'll build maybe 50% less this year, but not forever. So in the meantime, we said, let's still find those needs that our community has. So we're launching a repair program. So if somebody's in their home for a long time and they're starting to notice leaky faucets, squeaky floorboards, drafty windows, porches that are aging out, so to speak, we're growing into that space. So we still want to support the homeowner community in Rochester, not just through creating new homeowners, but helping people age in place and those kinds of services as well. So we've pivoted in a new space.
So, and speaking of quality and the passion and that this type of work takes, how do you go about finding employees that share that same passion?
That's a great question. You know, there's an adage in the nonprofit world, I'm sure, and elsewhere. We hire the person and we train the skills. So in the nonprofit space, it's not uncommon to bring somebody along and help them onboard those skills, because if they have the heart for it, if it's in their heart and they're driving to work as fast as they drive on their way home, now I've got a winner, and I'll teach the skills. And when they come in and they tell me that they're thinking of some new thing, I read this and I've been tossing and turning, I couldn't wait to tell you about this new idea that I have. Now I know I've got that kind of person that is going to lean into the job and help us grow in new ways. And those are the folks we're looking for. And those are the folks we find. And people know how to tell you what's in their heart, right? If it's in their heart, it's going to be on their lips. And if it's on their lips, we're going to hear it and we're going to hire them. So I've been very fortunate, very blessed. I've got just an incredible team. We have an incredible team at Flower City Habitat. If you met one of my staff members, any of them, you're going to love them because they're all fantastic people.
Well, thank you, Matt. We'll be back with more after these messages.
What is happening housing deficit in Rochester? You kind of touched a little bit before. I'm sure you have more information. And what's the projection? COVID is hitting us, economy. There's a lot of people with suffering now, unemployment and things like that. What is what's the forecast that you see in terms of housing issues and the challenge that our community will have?
Yeah, that's a tougher question to ask because, I'm a very optimistic person. I lean into things. I want to say all these wonderful things are happening. In the housing situation in Rochester, the housing situation in the U.S., it's critical. There are real problems in the housing stock. It's aging. It's expensive. Over the years, we put in things like asbestos and lead, and that's doing damage to our children, and we've got to get it out of there. And that's expensive to do. This is a tough industry to work in. Costs are going up because the supply chains have been impacted by COVID. I mean, there are true headwinds that we face on a daily basis that give you pause and make it sometimes hard to be optimistic. It's hard. Last statistic I heard was 63% of the houses in Rochester are landlord owned. That's only 27% then are owner occupied. And those are the folks that move a neighborhood forward. Those are the folks that invest and put down that taproot.
And speaking of that, how do you choose what areas to build in?
Yeah, we want to work with in a neighborhood where there's others working with us. A house alone isn't going to turn the tide. So we've been in Jozana, and Jozana's got a network of other agencies and School 17. And the Jozana story is one for the ages that turn that whole neighborhood around. We're just one cog in that wheel. I'm proud as punch to be in that wheel, but we are not going to do that alone. And now we're working with Connected Communities over in Emma Beechwood. And that's another where lots of folks are coming together: education, housing, workforce development, food, so it's not a food desert, all those other things that are the fabric that make a community. Those are the spaces that we want to go in.
Technology is changing all the industries. Technology is changing everything. And technology is changing construction. There is more modular construction. You can build now. I saw a factory right now. It's all prefab. They prefab, they basically deliver. You can install in a week, you can have a house. Are you guys exploring to start getting in this new world where you can get faster for less and with good quality?
That's an uncanny question. I'm laughing. It's as if you were on my shoulder all day today, because that's exactly the conversations I've had today about the technology. From computer animated, we can start to show our partner families what their house is going to look like, right down to the actual appliances. You know, those models that you see on HDTV, we're heading into that space. But then we're also going to be able to use that to train volunteers on certain pieces that maybe you can look before you come on site and say, oh, I'm going to be installing doors or a dishwasher. How do I do that? And we'll have that tech. We don't have it yet, but that was today's conversation. How do we lean into that space? And then further, what's really neat about it is we model this stuff. Like when we take a vacant house, we don't just build brand new, we take abandoned homes and turn those into new homes. And we might need a code variance, you know, because to move a whole stairway is expensive. So I can now show that model to the code officer and say, hey, will this work? It's not a big change. It's not a big difference from what you're looking for, but would save me a lot of money. Can we get this variance? And we can actually show it. So there's the technology that is coming for us is game changing. And I think it's going to save us time. It's going to help save us money. And if you don't look at housing every day, it's hard to look at a drawing and say, that's going to be my house. It's just lines on paper. But now it'll build in front of them.
It's so clear that, you know, you love what you do and you're good at it and everything. Congratulations on all those houses being built. What would you do you have a mentor that helped you get where you are?
You'll hear me use the words a lot. I'm blessed. I've had a collection of some of those wonderful mentors any individual could ever have. Some names that the town will always recognize. Bob Wegman. When I was at Camp Stella Maris, Bob Wegman was so generous to the camp and so generous to me. Names that maybe people don't recognize, aren't quite as household. A gentleman named Dick Palermo, who helped bring TQM to Xerox back in the day, who lived down the street from me. My kids call him Grandpa before he passed. Wonderful mentors that really, Dave Burns when he was at Gleason. I've been so blessed with, and I'm still blessed now with a board of directors that are completely supportive, to lean in and say, how do we help you move forward? So I have this collective brain trust that sits behind me and just encourages, keep stretching, keep going, keep growing. Our community needs more, not less. How do we do that?
Matt, I love, again, your capacity to lead and to engage. And it's just through an interview, I just get fascinated with what you do. That's awesome. So in 10 years from now, where do you see your organization?
10 years from now, I hope we're building 3, maybe 4 times the amount of houses that we were building before COVID. Not what we're building now, but before COVID. I hope that we have helped turn Rochester into a place where more people own their homes and put down a taproot in their home, where we help elderly stay in their home longer because we've modified the inside of the house so it's safer for them. Where we built houses that don't have lead, so kids aren't held back by those environmental impacts. And I think there's always going to be a need for housing, and we were fighting weather and rain and time, so it's not a fait accompli that we'll get to a finish line. It's an evergreen process, but we got to keep inventing and reinventing ourselves so we meet the needs of the people when we meet them at their biggest time of need. So we'll keep changing and keep growing as we do it, and we'll do it with the support of the wonderful Rochester community that reach out to us on a regular basis.
Matt, a really powerful interview, really an honor, and in name of the entire community, thank you, because the dedication, the passion, the vision that your organization have, it's really cool to see the concept of partnership. And I really love that. And I love the fact that you bless the house, you do the commissioning or well, whatever you call the blessing of the house. And that is fundamental because sometimes we have forget about the elements of the spiritual aspect. So thank you for bringing the truth and bringing the light through your job and everything that you do for the community. One last thing, there's a lot of people right now suffering of depression and difficulties right now. Right. What would be your message to them?
I would say hold tight. Better days are coming. This is a dark storm. We're in a tough time. I get that. I'm no different than anyone else. I have those dark moments of the soul, but every day I'm buoyed by a community that wants to work and reach out and help each other. Our phones haven't stopped ringing from people who want to volunteer. Maybe they're more cautious because of COVID, but they're not less willing. So people still want to help. People are still making those all important cash contributions, and I hope that will continue. People are still helping out with our restore, so that the community, the heart of our community, hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed is their ability to show that heart at this moment in time. And that's not going to go away. So when this storm passes, people are going to come out of their house more refreshed, more ready to help this community move forward. I guarantee it. You're going to see it, and it's going to be uplifting for all of us.
Thank you so much, Matt. It was an honor to have you in our show.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you very much for helping to get the word out about Habitat. I really appreciate it. Thank you both.
Coming up next week on Be Inspired, we'll meet Greg Connors, founding partner at Connors & Fairs, and learn about their unique approach to working with clients.
To watch today's episode and the complete interviews of our guests, go to rochesterfirst.com/beinspired. For more great talk with Rochester's entrepreneurs, listen to Poder 97.1, Saturdays at 9 a.m. For Mauricio Riveros, I'm Julio Saenz. We'll see you next week on Be Inspired.